Hello Music Times viewers, Caitlin Carter here in the studio with Tony Succar and Jean Rodriguez, two of the men behind Unity, the first ever Latin tribute album to the king of pop, Michael Jackson. Welcome guys.
Thank you so much.
So first off I gotta ask, what does Michael Jackson mean to both of you guys? Like his legacy, everything, obviously his messages, what about him inspired you and made you want to do this album?
Right, well, I've always been a fan of Michael Jackson since I was a kid, obviously. But really, I mean, his music sort of it's universal language. And for me, when I thought of this idea, which is sort of a pretty lengthy story, but in essence, it was like I wanted to do something that can really come from the heart. And my heart, you know, obviously being Latino and growing up in Miami, it lended itself, like the idea itself, to do something in the Latin format, because I wanted to do something different, something original, where we can, you know, actually put a lot more creative input into it, and differentiate ourselves from the rest of the world. So, I mean, Michael Jackson means everything to me. I mean, he inspired me to do this project, and it's opened so much doors in my career, my personal career, that I'm eternally grateful for. And if it wasn't for his music inspiring me to do this project, I would not be sitting here with you today. So I don't know about you, Jean.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for me, it all started with the music, with Michael. You know, I mean, as a young child, just being in love with the music, and then it just evolved more into like learning as I got older what his message was all about. You know, and what he meant and what he was trying to just bring to the whole world, and the whole peace and unity. You know, which is why this is a song called Unity. So and then it just goes beyond that, from the production and the choreography, and then to me, obviously, it just became such a huge impact in my life, because all I've done my whole entire life is, you know, it's music and it's sing. And I think like my biggest vocally, like, you know, mentor that I look up to is Michael. You know, so without even thinking about it, automatically when I approach a song or I go in the studio, it you know, I don't sound like Michael, but it's a vibe that gets within that was,
you like channel him.
Yeah, you know, and it's really inspiring. So to be connected to Michael in this way, and then to be connected to my Latin roots, you know, in this perfect marriage, is just like, you know, beautiful.
So like I guess within Latin music fans, there must have been a pretty big base of people who were listening to Michael Jackson outside the United States.
Of course.
So are you finding a good response, I guess, from those people who have heard what you've done and kind of been able to take those pop elements that, you know?
Right. Well, the beauty of this was like, I mean, Michael was big everywhere. I mean, in Mexico, I think when he did Estadio Azteca, which is like one of the biggest stadiums there, he filled it up like, I think it was like 10 days in a row, like
wow.
Insane. And when I was in Mexico not too long ago, and just getting the response of the people, they're like, they love him, you know, and a lot of them really almost don't know what his lyrics, you know, sometimes they don't understand what's going on. Billie Jean, you know, Kid Is Not My Son, you know, you know what I mean? It's like,
but they get the vibe,
they get the vibe and the energy, you know what I mean? So, but it's cool because in this project, like, you know, what the structure of a pop song is very different from like a salsa song.
Mm-hmm. As
As in, when you have a pop tune, like you have your verse, you have your bridge and your chorus, and then you may have like, you know, other things, but then you just stay on that hook, you know, and then the song finishes. In salsa music, you have the same thing, you know, the verse, the bridge, and the chorus, and all that stuff. But then you have this other side of it that's called coro y soneo, which is call and response.
Yeah.
You know, and then that's when the artist is like singing what he's inspired in the moment, you know, and it's just ad-libbing, you know, just freestyling, like a freestyle rapper, but with melody and harmony. So when obviously those original songs didn't have that, when we started bringing that to the arrangement, I mean, we started doing choruses that would speak about the actual song, like the lyrics. So,
oh, wow.
So when Latin people would hear it, it's like, the kid is not my son, you know, in Spanish, el niño no es mío, and stuff. Is like, what? Like, that's what the song is talking about? So a lot of them, the response has been like, man, that's cool, now I actually know.
I've learned a lot about what he was saying.
Like, I know what the song is talking about.
Well, because some of his songs were translated into Spanish.
Yes, and
was that you doing the translation?
No.
Or those had previously.
Yeah, exactly.
So you just went with those versions.
Exactly,
okay.
exactly. And so, Todo Mi Amor Eres Tú is one of those songs, which was sang by Obi Bermudez and his wife Jennifer Peña. and Michael Stewart sang one that's called Será que no me amas, which was actually translated for Luis Miguel, which is a huge title. I mean, a lot of people, including Michael Stewart, didn't even know that song
was originally
a Michael Jackson song. He just thought
because it became so big on it.
Right, exactly.
So with, like, you know, obviously Michael Jackson has a huge catalog of music. How did you go about narrowing it down to what you did? Was there like kind of a theme that you were going with?
Right, well, I first started just by simply like listening to the whole discography and then sort of...
The whole discography?
Yeah, straight up, like all
like
day iTunes Shuffle to the max. Yeah, like when he was like -5 years old.
Yeah.
So like, you know, so then I just started listening, and then every song that would give me like goosebumps, and then I would just sort of set it apart. Unfortunately, it was like most of them gave me goosebumps, so like it was like okay, but then after that, I would listen to the melody and then try to see how it would fit into what's like the Latin rhythms.
Okay.
So there's like an important rhythm that is throughout like all Latin music, which actually comes from like Africa, which is called the clave, you know, and it's a pattern. It's a very simple pattern. So yeah, I would try to imagine those melodies onto that rhythmic pattern. Now speaking just arrangement-wise, you know, and then whatever song would fit right, then I would choose that one and start tackling it and seeing how I can arrange it.
So not every song.
Not every song fits.
Be turned into.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's songs that I started that you know didn't work out, but there's songs that I didn't think would work out, and then I came back to them.
And it worked.
Yeah, and it worked. Like there's one song like Smooth Criminal that he sang that I originally wanted to do it, but I was so afraid.
Oh, that one sounds so natural, like after you.
Right, exactly. And I was so afraid to do that one. Not only because of the rhythm and stuff like that, because I couldn't imagine what artist would be able to sing that song because the lyrics are so fast, you know, and it's such a monotonous melody, but at the same time, it's not monotonous in the way you interpret it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when I first heard Jean in the studio singing Billie Jean, because that was the only song that I had planned for him, I said, no way, like this guy can sing it for sure. So then that's when I said, you know, we'll finish this one, but like give me a couple of days here and there, and let me just finish an arrangement for you, and because I really wanted to do that one. And then actually, that song is the single of the record.
Yeah.
You know, and it's one of the best ones, if not the best for me as far as like arrangement wise and stuff like that. So that was sort of the process, and then like to top it all off, now going down and stripping it out to 12 was like what songs like he was talking about is like really speak about the legacy of Michael Jackson, you know. And you take songs like Man in the Mirror, Earth Song, They Don't Care About Us, Black or White, you know, those messages,
those iconic
messages, you know, that speak about change. You know, it's not only about love and good things in life, but about making it better for everybody, you know, including earth consciousness and no discrimination and all that things. So again, just because of the energy of everybody involved, you know, more than 100 musicians and all the 9 artists that participated, that was a unity in a tone. There's a unity, obviously, between the American pop culture and the Latin roots that's happening. And then at the same time, we're paying respect and admiration towards that message that Michael always spoke about in his music. So then all that combined is how we just created this story, you know, where in every track was thought out, like, you know, very carefully, the order of the songs, you know, how we start with I Want You Back, so it can bring you back to imagining, you know, when he was a kid, and then taking you out through this whole album. It's sort of like it's a journey.
Yeah,
you know?
and you kind of see his evolution as an artist as well.
Yeah.
As far as going in and singing those songs, were you trying to sound as much like what was your approach?
It's funny you say that, because it's, obviously I want to keep my essence, you know, but it's like you're singing a Michael song, and it's so tough to not want to like
bringing them to your people and your roots,
you know. So it was finding that perfect balance, you know, was I wouldn't say difficult, but it was, you know, it was a work. It was challenging. It was challenging. It was challenging because I didn't want to sound like I was trying to sound like Michael, you know. But I think it was just enough, you know, where the inner Michael came out, but it's still me, you know, singing the song. So I think we did a very nice job kind of detailing that perfect marriage between the world. But it was fun. I mean, to me, it was just like, again, you know, I mean, I'm always open to sing any Michael song, you know, and then in this in this genre and giving him this whole new life and twist just like gave me, you know, a whole new meaning of singing behind it, you know, and instead of, I've always sang it obviously to like the original arrangements, you know, so just singing it in this style was like giving birth to the song again, you know, and singing it for the first time again, you know. So
well, it's more than just a cover, it's like a reimagining.
Yeah, no, totally.
That's the word. Reimagine. I'm gonna take that from you.
There you go. So have you heard from Michael's family or estate, or, I mean, are they aware of this? Are they excited that you're kind of bringing it back to life, all these songs?
Right. Well, I haven't had communication with the family, unfortunately. Like, it's sort of difficult, you know, they have a lot going on, and I think the right time will come where I will be able to, I just want to have the opportunity to thank them, you know, because in the end, you know, Michael had a very important family. In Jackson 5, that's where he, you know, if he wasn't put in that place, God knows if he would have been Michael Jackson, you know what I mean? So everything happens for a reason, and I just want to say thank you. But we have been in contact with the estate, with John Branca as well, and everything is going, you know, through the streams and channels where it needs to go, because it's a very lengthy process. I mean, those are gems, you know. The catalog is treasure, and they need to take care of it. So I'm doing everything in my part to make sure that they're okay with everything, and you know, I know that they feel that this project in particular came from the heart and came from a place of much passion and admiration.
I mean, just considering all the amount of musicians who are on it, the number of people who worked on it, I mean, it's definitely not a vanity project. It's one of like, we're trying to share. Yeah,
and it's a 4-year from the start, you know. I mean,
it started with the
Thriller and Kickstarter, you know what I mean? I mean, I was working out of my bedroom at the time, and I was like, I had no contacts whatsoever in the music industry. I mean, I was like just a Peruvian Japanese kid with a dream, with a terribly small room in his house, and like just from coming from a humble family, you know. And that was my reality. That wanted to do a tribute to Michael Jackson in salsa, you know. So it's like, what are the odds? You know what I mean? But again, it's the passion, and it's that love for this project. You know, it's my baby. You know what I mean? Like and I'll never give up. You know, this is just the beginning. For me, again, it's been a blessing. It's opened up so many doors. I've met tremendous artists through this, like Jean. Like, I mean, working with him has been one of the highlights of my career and life, because music is not just a career. It becomes your life. You know, it's a passion. So yeah.
Do you have any further plans, like to go on tour, to do it live throughout the U.S. even?
For sure. I mean, I think we both agree. Like, it's the album is great. You know, it's wonderful. Actually, we were at Sirius XM yesterday, and you know, just playing this stuff live. We performed it with the 15-piece band. You know,
wow.
And it was, every time we do this live, which we've done just, you know, in a couple occasions, has been super intense. Like the energy levels, it's like the album times 10 the energy. So we definitely are in the plans of bringing it on, you know, into the live platform, on tour, and that's all in the works. You know, we're launching the album on Tuesday, April 14th. It's going to be available in stores for those of you that still like the CDs, you know, and it's going to be all in digital stores as well, like iTunes and Amazon. But yeah, this is just the beginning, definitely.
And I was going to end with what song of his, I'm sure this is a really hard question, I'm sure you've answered it a bunch of times, but your favorite Michael Jackson song?
Personally, you can answer that one first.
Oh man, that is a tough one.
You probably become more connected with the songs that you've now done.
Yes, I mean, obviously I've, and you know, it's funny because before singing on this record and singing the Billie Jean and Smooth Criminal, like on my own personal shows, I would always do Billie Jean, and I would do this other version where it would start acoustic. It was like this Chris Cornell version that I would start with, and then on the second verse I would get to the Michael. So Billie Jean is definitely one of my favorites, but man, I've always been drawn to melodically and just to feel human nature. You know, I think that's definitely one of my favorites.
And you?
Me, you know, it's just such a difficult question. I've learned to appreciate, you know, many aspects of Michael Jackson. I guess before I became such a fanatic, I was more attracted to just the melodic sense of the tunes and the feel of the arrangements, because that's what musically my ear. I can listen to a song.
That's what you're kind of
Yeah, I can listen to a song 50 times, and I'll know every single note that's being played in every single percussion break, and every dynamic, and every articulation musically. But you ask me sing the hook or the chorus, and I just don't remember the lyrics. I just can't. But when I started getting into Michael Jackson, it became like this. It was like reading a story or something, you know. And so there's one song in particular that always like really hits me emotionally. It's Earth Song.
Okay.
Because of the meaning of that lyric and how he's just crying out, and knowing that he wrote that song. You know what I mean? Like he felt that, and in that given moment in time where he was going through a lot, you can feel the pain. You know, you can feel almost like an anger towards human beings. How we're just like not caring for one of the most important things.
The thing that gives us life.
The things that gives us life. Knowing that he being the biggest pop star and not having to speak about these things, you know, as actually putting the time and effort to do that, and to create these amazing video for it with
so
intense visuals, like things that were just like, you know, I think maybe even like the labels were like, oh my God, we can't, you know, but he would just do it because he was all about change. He didn't care about anything. He didn't care about what anybody thought. It was just him. So that song in particular is definitely one of my favorites, if not my favorite.
So after this, do you see yourself maybe doing more, like rearranging more of his catalog if this is, you know, successful, or you know, do you think that this is a project in and of itself?
No, I definitely you know, my plans
with Escape having come out.
Right, I really, of course. It's just like you said, there's just so much catalog. You know, there's so many great songs. There's actually songs that we were listening to the car now that he hadn't heard that are not in the record that I had done. You know, so I do have in my little stash some ammo there, you know, and like I think of Unity not just as you know, just as a record or even a tour. I see it more like a movement. You know what I mean? Of this, of this concept, which is the combination and what we've done with this, which is getting the Afro-Cuban, Afro-Puerto Rican, Afro-Peruvian roots, you know, Afro-Latin roots, and combining it with, you know, great legendary music, you know, that's universal. So in that sense, I definitely see Unity Part 2, Unity Part 3. I mean, Unity, again, it resembles, it's inspired and it was made for Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, I've thought of other great legendary bands and artists too that have amazing catalog and that tend to work in this format. So for all the fans that were really loving this like concept, idea, you know, if you follow us, and you know, you're definitely going to be in for some surprises. Not only Michael Jackson, but other things as well.
Well, that's exciting. I'm looking forward to it coming out on April 14th, everybody. Yes. Thank you guys so much for coming in and talking.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.